And it's not good. It will be such a bad thing to this country. Your own citizens, you've taken their money, and the time for you to come and pay, you say you are not going to pay, and they should go to court.
Also, Member of Parliament for Norton demands the termination of contract for the construction of the National Cathedral.
It is time for this contract to be abrogated. It is time for the National Cathedral project to be cancelled. The Board of Trustees should be dissolved. The Secretariat should be closed down. Everybody should be asked to go home and let us save money.
And later on CNR Extra, President Akufo-Addo confers national honors on over 19,000 individuals, including City TV's Umaru San against COVID-19 pandemic.
Our relative success in winning the fight against COVID-19 is a testament to the tireless work of our researchers, scientists, advisors, public health.
CNR Extra is live on City TV, and you can join us with your thoughts, submissions, and comments via our WhatsApp line 0204447033, and you can join us on YouTube on CityTube. Neil Latte, you're welcome.
Thank you, Philip, for having us.
You make it Ghana.
Exactly, we are putting that message across.
We have to make it Ghana.
Exactly, yeah.
I think I have to start changing my
You have to.
Yeah, so that I also make it Ghana.
You have to. Right.
On that make it Ghana note, let's go for the first story. And vaccines for children has begun in various health facilities across the country. Let's bring you that insight.
Vaccination for children has begun in various health facilities in the Greater Accra region. This comes after Ghana took delivery of some childhood vaccines last weekend after months of shortage, which contributed to the outbreak of measles in parts of the northern region. On Monday, the Greater Accra Regional Health Directorate made the vaccines available to municipal health officers to distribute in health facilities within their jurisdiction to begin the vaccination. The vaccines include BCG, OPV, polio, and measles vaccinations. Update. Akosha, what more can you tell us?
So after several months of not having vaccines in the country, I'm talking about the childhood vaccines, eventually the Ghana Health Service was able to take delivery of some of these vaccines. I'm talking about the BCG, the OPV vaccine, the measles, and also the polio vaccines. They arrived in the country over the weekend. And on Monday, the Greater Accra Regional Health Directorate was able to distribute these vaccines to the various municipal health assemblies. And so today, I'm currently at the Adabraka Polyclinic, and a number of children. So it's excitement on the faces of the mothers. I'll just speak to some of them on the struggles of not getting these vaccines over the past few months, and also they having to get it today. What is the feeling like?
2 weeks and 6 weeks as I am 6 weeks I am. Oh, so say my happy say my be a mamma coaching in mere say quaha.
Because now how me
Patron na hame de bia me faka me kwa me godo ayese asa na ma samba me godo omo kyera me say ebi wo ha no me say me san akọ me kwa godo na mo say ebi no na ma samba nti ena me ba ha no ma manya bi no me ni age ebi say me fa akora na nsan chini sa
ya wono 31st January. But ya wo no wie ye no na etese omuso nanum omusi ebi ni wo ewo Adabraka Polyclinic ha be 6 weeks ya ba die ebi aba omahwe ye fefe wo Polyclinic ho no ye fa mu pa because ye fa taxi na ko ho no ko di line ansana ye nya ye na ye mahia de ye ni age pa na ye ba ye Ntiesi ana abane da binance so matimi aba to mungu so anfa bimbra so da omombe wo no mbenye bi e aba.
So indeed the vaccines have arrived, and you can tell from the faces of the mothers who have come here to get the vaccines. And so it's currently ongoing here at the Adabaka Polyclinic. There. So this is the lab polyclinic, and the situation is no different. You can see the vaccination ongoing. So the mothers came here as early as 7 a.m. to get their children vaccinated, and so that's currently ongoing at the lab polyclinic. So it's ongoing at various health facilities across the country. For City News, Akusia Ochre.
Still on the subject, nursing mothers in the Ashanti region on Tuesday thronged various health facilities in the region to have access to childhood vaccines that were in short supply. Health professionals administering the vaccines say they are unable to tell how long these vaccines will last and are hoping that the next batch of vaccines will arrive early enough to avoid another shortage. Our bureau chief for the Middle Belt, Edward Opomafu, reports.
To the shortage of some essential childhood vaccines, many parents in the Ashanti region expressed worry as some facilities had recorded cases. Nursing mothers who visited the health facilities were turned away. As a result of this, nursing mothers have for months been looking forward to getting the vaccines for their babies. This unfortunate state of affairs led to a situation where a baby at the Menchia District Hospital, for instance, got infected with measles. Authorities at the another positive case following the arrival of the vaccines into the country. The disease control officer for the Menchia District facility who got infected has now recovered.
Concerning the positive measles case, the child has recovered. She is fit, and even when we went to the house, she was playing and everything was fine, with the exception of the dark spot on the skin. When you get rashes and we treat it, there will be some dark spot on it. So aside the dark spot, everything was fine. The child was very fit. She has recovered.
And with the new vaccines you received, what was the state now? Are they enough to serve the people here?
Yes, I won't say they are plenty. I'm sure they will add more because they don't know the number of people who have let me say who needed vaccine. So they gave us some few ones to use it for now, then later you add up. So we still have some at the regional code room, so in case there is shortage, then you go there to pick some. For yellow fever, I can say 200. They gave us 200 doses, which is for 200 children.
During City News' visit to some health facilities in the region, including the Menchia District Hospital and the Central Government Hospital, nursing mothers whose babies are supposed to take their vaccines had gathered to get them for their children. Although they are excited, they want authorities to put adequate measures in place to prevent another instance of shortage.
Normally we come and they will say the vaccines, there is no vaccines, but now I'm excited and I'm happy that the vaccines are in now. And then I wish authorities to, maybe there shouldn't be shortage of vaccines like that anymore. I'd wanted maybe anytime like the vaccine should be available.
11 months. Last month nso by still ebi ni ho nti ama ye pie kura ebe we nkura na asa akodro ache me nti enne nso me by me wura edem ho omo hwe omo si enne de ebi wo ho ba eye me de pa
ne de e was saying in any time be around sen ya ba ya beboa akra no nso if you say ye ba na ebi ni ho na ye kosa na emoa akra no.
The head of the Public Health Department at Menchia District Hospital, Mavis Bemafrimpong urged nursing mothers to visit their hospital
They are entreating the mothers to come in.
How
There are some on the way, so we hope by the close of the week we will get more and we'll be able to vaccinate them. So we are not anticipating any shortage for now.
The head of the Public Health Department at the Central Government Hospital, Felicia Mami Fuedua, says in order to avoid putting pressure on their facility, they have supplied over 20 chip zones under the hospital with adequate vaccines to be given to nursing mothers in various communities in the area.
For this morning, we started with our normal CWC session, and the mothers who came here were given the vaccines they were entitled. So if your child is due for polio, is due for penta, is due for measles, whichever vaccine they were given this morning. And so we still have some mothers here who are also receiving DS. And we are having 23 chip zones, and for the chip zones, they are all still under so that the pressure at Sontreso certainly will be minimized.
The health professionals here are confident that the available vaccines will be able to serve the babies that will be brought in here until the next batch of vaccines arrive into the country. For City News, I'm Edward Upon Marfo, Menchia District Hospital, Kumasi.
Now, some parents in the northern region who turned up for weighing on Tuesday have expressed excitement over the availability of vaccines at health centers after a long period of shortage. A visit to some facilities in the Tamale and Sagnerigu areas saw mothers in the queue waiting to have their babies vaccinated. Dinah Ungwan has the rest of the story from the northern region.
It was a busy day at the Tamale Sub Metro Health Center as hundreds of mothers came for weighing. According to health officials, they record high numbers of attendance when there are vaccines in stock for the children. Children who This comes after a shortage of vaccines disrupted routine immunization since last year. Some of the parents who spoke to City News were happy about the development, but they urged the government to ensure a regular supply of vaccines for immunization.
I actually came for measles immunization with my baby, Pakama Zainab. She was supposed to do it when she was 9 months old, but because of the shortage, we couldn't. She actually took her routine immunization at TTH. Like I said, the news are big signals that RCH here, they have started. So I quickly rushed in here with her. Unfortunately for us, she just took her job of the immunization. And we are very grateful.
When she was born, we were supposed to come here for this years. So when we called to verify, they said the vaccine was not around. So we waited and called today, and they said it is. They have gotten it. That's why we are here. And as you can see, she has been vaccinated. Yes.
I hope that she be there. Always when we come, we'll have it anytime we come. But she won't come small time. It will be short again. And it will look like when you come. But like the way that. We come, we have some inject our children. Yes.
I mean, you should try and provide us the vaccine. You know, when they give you the prescribed date for you to come and inject and it's not there, we the mothers, we are always worried. So I appeal to the government to do something about it for us.
After a long period of waiting, mothers can now have vaccines for their babies. They urge government to ensure regular supply of vaccines at the various facilities. From Tamale, I am Dinah Ungwan, reporting for City News.
Parents in the Southern Belt, Middle Belt, Northern Belt are all excited about the fact that at least we have vaccines in the country for child measles, BCG, but there's one message that cuts across: to prevent future shortage, and governments must work around the Pediatric Society of Ghana has also country currently, though it's okay, but isn't enough to take the entire babies we have for a period of time, as in the vaccination exercise, and that government must work around the clock effortlessly to ensure that we have more vaccines in the country. But government has said that this is the first batch.
Exactly so, Philip, and I must also begin on this note that I'm particularly happy about the level of patronage following the vaccination exercise, and it's quite refreshing having to see a lot of parents, mothers especially, throng into these health facilities to ensure that their children are vaccinated against some of these diseases. So at this point, we just want to encourage them that they should go all out and ensure that they get these vaccines for their children, because the reverse actually is immunization drive. Having said that, Philip, yes, of course, the health management body, that's the Ghana Health Service, and also the Ministry of Health, should at this point in time also be telling us plans that they have begun taking to ensure that this particular interim, sustainability of the health crisis is actually sustained for good. They should at this point in time be telling us what plans they've taken, what steps they are taking to get more vaccines from where and when, if it's going to fall in line with the latest 2 to 3 weeks that the health minister gave us in Parliament some time ago. But interestingly, the World Health Organization has actually been speaking. Its director in charge of immunization, biological, and also has said in Parliament that the COVID disruptions, because they say that the data they've actually seen suggests that there's been a decline in measles, for instance, an operation to ensure that these things are solved or addressed right about now. So Philip, we want to say that it's good news that the vaccines are in. Maybe I don't know if it's early days yet, but health authorities should also be updating us as to the status.
Well, the health minister also in Parliament said there was going to be a sensitization exercise, some sort of education for the parents, and how sooner these vaccines will be getting into the country, and also the parents will also make their babies available for the vaccination exercise, and also plans to keep these vaccines in a safe manner so that it does not have any effect on these babies, because you know how important vaccine storage is actually key when it comes to some of these things. And so let's see how this particular issue unfolds. All what we want here is for the shortage not to hit the country again, because as of the time there was shortage and this outbreak in that part of the country. Away from that story, let's bring you the issue of the individual bondholders and the coalition of individual bondholders group. They have given government, that is the finance minister, 48-hour ultimatum to pay all matured principals.
Health sector, the coalition of individual bondholders group has given the finance minister a 48-hour ultimatum to pay all mature principal and outstanding coupons due on the existing bonds issued by the government of Ghana. Some bondholders who self-exempted and others who received an issuer's exemption from government's domestic debt exchange program are yet to receive the payments of matured coupons and principals since February 6. Sukumi joins us and brings us more details. Charles, what more can you tell us?
Some of government's domestic creditors, especially individual, are disappointed with government. Their reason is that since February 6, there's been a series of bonds that have matured, and as is usually the case, government was expected and is expected to pay the coupon payments and the principals on these bonds. But that has not been the case. On the 27th of February, the individual bondholders formed a coalition, met the. One of the key issues they raised, information coming from the finance ministry as to when and why these bonds have not been paid and when they are going to be paid. So right after that meeting, the finance ministry released a statement, and it said in that statement that government was going to begin the payment of coupons and principals of bonds that have matured from the 13th of March. Yesterday, Monday, was the 13th of March, and that did not happen. These payments have not been made. And also, with Dr. Edu Ananiantwi, he is the convener for the Pensioner Bondholders Forum.
This market strive for information. If there is something happening and people know that this is happening, they are okay. They don't panic. Investors believe that by this day I should get my coupon, I should get my principal. If it's not going to happen, if it's going to happen, you don't have a problem. You don't inform anybody that it's going to happen, because that is a rule, that is a requirement that you must pay at this time. So there's no need calling people to say we are going to pay. But if you think or you know it's not going to happen, then to avoid people, you know, is it that they're in the market? But if you came out and said, look, I'm supposed to pay you today, but as a result of ABC, I may not be able to pay today. Meanwhile, I'm working seriously to resolve whatever issues you have, and very soon you will see payment reflecting in your account. Then everybody is happy and knows that you are going to make the payment. But if there is no information, then you allow speculation to be going around. Everybody has its own.
Argument has been made that when government announced a debt restructuring program, it was actually putting out information to investors that it did not have the capacity to honor its debt obligations, and so to tender their bonds under the domestic debt exchange program, knew exactly what they were doing, and they knew that government would have difficulty to honor coupon payments and principal payments when they are due. So I asked Dr. Duanane this question, but he explained that pensioner bondholders were exempted from the domestic debt exchange program by government itself, and so this logic cannot be applied to them.
For us, if we are looking only at pensioners, we were exempted. And having been exempted is equal to government saying, as for you, your bonds, I was not going to restructure. Then you have at all whatsoever handling my bond. So that's why I say when it gets to the time that you haven't paid, we who have been exempted will come and ask you, isn't you the same person who said you don't have a problem with my bond and therefore you are not putting it as part of the restructuring program? Why? That I tried to explain. So for us, we have the government has gotten no problem whatsoever in handling our bonds.
Senior Jose is a member of the coalition of individual bondholder groups.
We are gradually destroying our financial market and leaving very little for it. The actors of the sector must be responsible. They have a mandate, a fiduciary responsibility to us as people and to the state. We can't destroy the reputation of our us who suffer the remnants of the sector. Somehow, politics erodes people's commitment and reason to professionalism and that which is in the interest of the country. That must stop.
We are told that the Finance Ministry intends to begin the payment of these matured bonds in the next 48 hours. But what if this does not happen? I asked Dr. Adrian Anyentwi if the Pensioner Bondholders Forum is considering legal action.
We believe government will not let us go that route. And it's not good. It will be your own citizens. You've taken their money, and it's time for you to come and pay. You say you are not going to pay, and they should go to court. That will be bad. It will just be bad. And the repercussion will just not be. We don't hope to get there. And no government would want to go there.
My name is Charles Ozukumi, 4 City News.
Meanwhile, the Finance Ministry has announced that processes to settle payments on outstanding bonds commenced on March 13. According to a statement from the ministry, the initial instruction covers coupons and principal payments on bonds that matured on 6th and 13th February 2023. Holders of these bonds are therefore expected to receive payments within 48 hours from Tuesday, March 14.
Though the Finance Ministry has given an assurance that the payments will be done in 48 hours, the convener of the Individual Bondholders Forum, Martin Pebu, says, no, we don't believe it. He's skeptical about the government's assurance to pay the matured coupons on the outstanding bonds within 48 hours. You spoke to him yesterday. It was an exciting conversation.
It was really
I
exciting.
think he was also very serious about it, that seeing government,
and at this point in time, I don't even know, but it appears government has actually lost it, because look, these people protested, they demonstrated, looking out for their monies to be paid to them. You gave them the assurance that it will be paid somewhere on 13th of February. It didn't happen. You gave them another due date. That was yesterday. It did also not happen. And so right now, they don't even
as of
know.
the time it didn't happen for the payment, they picketed
at
the Finance Ministry, and another assurance was given to them just for them to also come out.
And that's why you get people like Senior Hosi, for example, saying that the government posturing actually sending bad signals to the financial and international market as a whole. And even these three groups that we are talking about, as for Dr. Edouard Anyentwi, he is very much hopeful that government is actually going to pay the money. But Martin Pebu says no, he will have none of that. And he says that government can't be trusted. And it appears that is the case, because look at how government issued a statement. The complaint of these groups to come out again to come and say that we have not received our monies as you promised, and government issues a statement late yesterday in the evening. So for example, Martin Pebu makes a point that if you knew that you were unable to ahead of time, and
so we should have been informed ahead of time.
This is something that Dr. Edouard Anyentwi has also corroborated, that look on information, as and when you're giving the information, that's how they are able to react. And look, this is a government that first said that there was not going to be IMF, there's not going to be haircut, and now there's not going to be IMF, and all of these things have culminated into what we have as debt restructuring now. And then people are asking for their monies. You give them dates and you don't deliver. So interesting times ahead. I don't know what is going to happen on Thursday if government fails to pay. See how this particular issue
government should just win this trust by paying this.
Exactly, I think that's the simplest the government can do at this point in time.
They didn't subscribe to the debt exchange program. So,
and so
once the assurance has been given that if you are not on the exchange program, certainly you're
interesting. On Thursday, if they don't receive their money, I don't really know what they are going to do to government.
Because the contract for the construction of the National Cathedral. Stay with us. We'll be back with more stories.
Plus is available in a shop near you.
This message has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Welcome back. This is still CNR. .033, and we are streaming live on YouTube on CityTube. Let's bring you that's with this one, where the Member of Parliament for Norton Samuel Okujetua Blakwa is asking that the contract for the construction of the National Cathedral be terminated immediately.
Member of Parliament for North Thong Samuel Okujetua Blakwa is demanding the termination of contract for the construction of the National Cathedral. The MP says the one-year suspension of the project is incurring much cost to the taxpayer. Speaking to journalists, Samuel Okujetua Blakwa says the over $1 billion project would not materialize, hence the need for the government to abrogate the project and dissolve the Board of Trustees. There's more in the following report by my colleague, Ni Ayikwe Okai. Ni, what more can you tell us?
For the Member of Parliament for North Thong, Samuel Okujetua Blakwa, it is exactly a year construction work on the National Cathedral project was suspended. Hence, there is the need for the government to terminate the contract and dissolve the Board of Trustees to save the country of the cost that could be incurred.
Finances are in dire straits. The government itself admits that is why it is everywhere at the same time. To abrogate this National Cathedral project, which the original scheduled completion date was March next year, March 2024, without any delays, without any suspension. Here we are on the first anniversary of suspension of works. Clearly, this project cannot be completed. It cannot see the light of day. And instead of the president looking on whilst cost is accumulated, whilst we have of works, it is time for this contract to be abrogated. It is time for the National Cathedral project to be cancelled. The Board of Trustees should be dissolved. The Secretariat should be closed down. Everybody should be asked to go home and let us save money. The millions of dollars that are being accumulated is not worth it. It's the most reckless and unconscionable thing to do at this time of our national economic predicament.
In an interaction with City News, the Member of Parliament for Wa Central, Rashid Purple, urged the police to render an apology to residents of Dondoli in the Wa community following the killing of a middle-aged
to go into this matter, to call on his people to avoid shooting at our people. The life of a person is such an important thing to the family, to the individual, to society, to the extent that you don't just take an hour or a minute, a second to shoot and kill the person. And I will want the police to listen to the community what they are saying. No matter what happens, no court, no legal institution has branded a gentleman an armed robber. So they can
Edward Bauer raised eyebrows over the source of fuel for the government's good for oil policy.
You will recall that just last weekend, Bloomberg had reported that the source of this particular petroleum products is from Russia. Indeed, on February 24th, there has been, since February 24, there has been a ship that is hovering on our waters because the source of the product is Russia. And Russia currently is on economic, embargo with us. So the question you then ask yourself, some of the OMCs like Total, Shell, these are Western countries who have been given Russia. And therefore, even in terms of their product, you general stance of government of Ghana and the up to now has been one of non-alliance. What is the implications of this on our negotiations on the IMF?
He also raised concerns about the ACA AGM deal of the government.
On what basis did the economic management team, led by Baumia, approve that government should spend close to 1.3 billion in acquiring the interest of AGM in that particular block? What has been the interest of government with the whole saga of ACE? Because as we speak today, ACE, based on just the DWT, that's the ACE block, they were supposed to have brought what we call the plan of development to the Minister of Energy for approval. As we speak now, that has not been done.
During proceedings on Tuesday, the House continued with its debate on the State of the Nation address presented by President Akufo-Addo in Parliament.
Conspicuously missing was Agenda 111. Mr. Speaker, and I am not surprised that Mr. Speaker, at the 8th COVID-19 update delivered by the President, he promised the good people of this country about the construction of health facilities in this country. The real state of the Agenda 111 is that millions of dollars have been given to contractors and yet they are not on site. Millions of dollars, Mr. Speaker. If you go to Nigeria, a country that is very close to us, Mr. Speaker, they are queuing for fuel. Mr. Speaker, Kenya, they are queuing for fuel. Not too long ago, even France. You come to Ghana and you join because there is no pressure. No one is queuing for fuel in this country. And the good work done by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, clearly showing that this country is well and this is the true state of our country.
Reporting from Parliament, my name is Ni Aikwe Okine for City News.
So a number of issues were raised there in the report, but the focus is on the National Cathedral because the MP for Norton, Samuel Kujetu Ablakwa, is asking for the termination of the contract 1 year after, say, the project has been stalled. So what do you make of? Because he connected this to the fact that government needs money from the road tolls to be injected into the National Cathedral to complete it.
Quite interesting, a claim being made by the minority there, but we know that Samuel Kujetu Ablakwa has been kicking against the whole construction of the National Cathedral, and also a lot of Ghanaians are not too happy with the project in its entirety. And so 1 year after it's stalled, there's a fresh call, just that maybe coincided with the proposed rate. I don't know, but the alternative, what is the alternative? This particular project, and we are also saying that because of how the project has stalled, we are incurring a lot of costs because of you have to pay the contractors for the number of times that you've not been able to continue the project. So the amount of money, huge one of course, has gone into the, and not only that, but a lot of other cost implications given the distraction of, let's say, the judges and the magistrates, complex at the place, the whole the buildings. Samuel Okudzeto.
But I think 1 year after the project has stalled, government could come out and tell us what exactly is going in there, because we can't have a project that we know that, and well, some funds have been injected in there and the project is just lying down at the very basic level, and nothing has been done as of now to see that it's going to get to a level where it's going to be completed anytime soon. And 1 year on, nothing is happening.
It's because of how government is handling all this issue, because look, we were made to understand that this particular project will be funded with private, funds, and that did not happen. At least in the last budget, we saw the government trying to,
some 80 million
through the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, as to how they are able to fund. But for me, my simplest, understanding and thought is that, well, government should convince us beyond reasonable doubt that, given the situation at hand and how they've managed the situation in the past, this time around they are going to use private funds. They should tell us how they are going to, drive the campaign for people to contribute to make the construction feasible, because President Akufo-Addo has given the strongest of indications that this is a priority amongst priority. He's going to do it at all costs, but not with the taxpayers' money. I think so. That is the bone of contention here.
And just a touch on the road toll issue that Okudzeto brought in there from the conversation with the PRO of the Roads Ministry. Says this is a proposal. They are now going to have a conversation with it as to how much it will be. Rules and Highways Committee was spoken to Kennedy Osenyaku, when he says that the road toll should be pegged at 5 Ghana cedis, nothing below 5 Ghana cedis. So it looks like that's
actually
issue.
Problematic, because we've seen in the past that the collection of road tolls really has not meant anything for the country. I think
it's going to be automated.
Alternative means of ensuring that we collect particular toll booth is a nuisance.
It will be automated.
So I mean, it's my only concern here is that we should keep a keen eye on this claim or the allegation that the minority is making, because we shouldn't be trivializing it at all.
We will definitely dive deeper into this issue, especially which has to do with the collection of the road toll, as to if it's going to be really injected into the construction of the National Cathedral. And away from this story, let's bring you that story from charged for murder of 11-year-old Ishmael Mensah.
The state has opened its case in the trial of the 2 teenagers charged for the murder of 11-year-old Ishmael Mensah in Kaswa. The family of the deceased, the father of the deceased, who is the prosecution's first witness, did not hold back his tears as he recounted circumstances surrounding the death of his son. There is more in the following report.
It was a tense atmosphere at the Criminal Court 5 of the High Court as father of the deceased battled with his emotions to give a complete account of his testimony in furtherance of the cause for justice for his son. In the about 1 hour of proceedings for each day, both on Monday and Tuesday, Frank Mensah Abdallah can be sensed relieving the pain of the demise of his son as he recounted memories of how he got to learn about the death of his son. The testimony, which began on Monday, saw Mr. Abdallah to 2-day journey from made him share final moments with his son before retiree staff of the Ghana Revenue Authority. Mr. Abdallah now operates as a trader and stationed more in Krachi Nkwanta in the Oti region. He recollects how his son persistently called him to return home as he had been missed. In his testimony, he stated how joyful his son was when he finally arrived in Kaswa. According to him, he quickly took breakfast made up of egg that was given to him by his son as a welcoming gesture. he decided to rest before spending some quality time with his son. But little did he know that their conversation before the rest would be the last. He testified that few hours into his sleep, he was called out by his wife claiming that his son had been killed. Anxiously, he rushed out of the room only to meet the lifeless body of his son in an uncompleted building close to their house. The father of the deceased claimed that after his son's body was discovered, the father, one of the accused persons, brought the two and asked them to confess to their actions. Both, however, blamed each other for the crime. The two accused persons standing trial for the killing are Felix Nyako and Nicholas Kinney. Of his son, like his ambition to be a pilot, broke into tears. The case has been adjourned to Wednesday, March 15, for cross-examination of the father of the deceased. In court on Tuesday also, the state called its 8th witness in the Aisha 1 case. The witness, a retired assistant superintendent of police, Charles Adaba, investigated Aisha 1 in 2017 when she was first arraigned for the charges of engaging in illegal mining. He testified of having accused person had employed some persons to work on her mining site at Bipotintin in the Amansia Central District without authority.
The murder of the 11-year-old Ishmael Mensah in Kaswa is a very sad one, and I think we should just or it's taking some time.
Well, for the betterment of it, let's see how the court in its own wisdom will handle this particular matter, especially because if you look at the circumstances under which the boy was killed and the circumstances under which the father also got to know about the death of his son.
And also the two teenagers coming to confess that what they were seeing on TV is what
it's a really tough one, but we just hope that justice will be served in this particular matter. We wait to see what will be happening. And then also prosecution, like you are saying, that we plead with them to ensure that the process is actually expedited.
Away from this story, let's go to Uwa, where the family of the middle-aged man who was shot and killed by the police last Wednesday in Uwa, they have backed down on their 24-hour ultimatum given to the police to apologize.
The family of a middle-aged man who was shot and killed by the police last Wednesday in Wa have backed down on their 24-hour ultimatum to the police. The decision follows an intervention by the Inspector General of Police, IGP Dr. George Ekufu Dampare, appealing to the family to remain calm to allow for thorough investigations into the killing. The family, at a press conference on Monday, threatened to take legal action should the police fail to apologize to them for killing and tagging Abubakar Shahid as a robber. Spokesperson for the family, Mohammed Tamim, in a City News interview said they have decided to remain calm, trusting that investigations will exonerate their late brother.
The family gathered and were deliberating on the next step to take. When the call came from the IGP, he called me personally to show his condolence and appeal that we should remain calm while justice takes its course. While the IGP has given us his word, they have the trust and belief in him, and they are waiting for him. And again, this evening, the MC for one municipality, he also came to reassure us of his side of the how he is going to solve the case, that justice is nothing but what we will get. For now, we need to put whilst the IGP has given us his word, we have trust and believe in him. And whilst the MCE, who is also one of us, has given us his word, we have trust in him.
So the family has backed down on their demand that the police should apologize for tagging the deceased as being part of a robbery incident, and also the Wa Central Member of Parliament, Rashid Pelpu, he has also asked the Ghana Police Service to thoroughly investigate the issue. I think it's a step in the right direction that those
and this is a
demands must be
positive
made.
result
Yes.
because of leadership. It took the intervention of the IGP to calm the tempers of this bereaved family down. And so we're just hoping that the IGP will put his words into action. They should collaborate with the family so that we see the finality of this particular issue. The family should not take the law into their own hands. They should also cooperate with the police and ensure that the probe that we are all pushing for will be completed.
Exactly. It's the collaboration bit that we want, the family collaboration with the police to get to the final stage of this issue. You are still watching CNR Extra here on CTV. Still to come. President Akufo-Addo confers national honors on over 19,000 individuals, including CTTV's Umaru Sanda Amadu, and institutions that played significant roles in the country's fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Stay with us, we're back with our story.
I passed by your favorite barbecue place and I got you something.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your pain level?
No, focus, Ayana.
Push harder.
Oh, I'm trying.
Oh, you've got to try harder.
I can't.
What I think is happening here is the usual bureaucratic nonsense.
They forced their way into the patient's room.
What? And they held the treatment
over
his head,
no.
sir.
And you're not going to stop until you destroy everything that is good and decent about this hospital. I'm just lost for words.
Thank you for rescuing me from that accident.
Many thanks for staying with us here on CNR Extra. President Akufo-Addo has conferred national honors on over 19,000 individuals and institutions that play significant roles in the fight against COVID-19 in this country.
As President Akufo-Addo has conferred national honors on over 19,000 individuals and institutions that played significant roles in the country's fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. The president lauded their efforts in preventing what he says could have been an unfortunate national catastrophe. City News' Samiri Afe has more in this report.
The 19,557 awardees included all frontline health workers, nurses, doctors, and lab technicians who were in the thick of events during the pandemic. The pandemic of COVID-19, which hit the country in March of 2020, recorded over 1,000 deaths and 25,000 infections. Presenting the awards, President Akufo-Addo says the country is indebted to these individuals and institutions.
Our relative success in winning the fight against COVID-19 is a testament to the tireless work of our researchers, scientists, advisors, public health managers, frontline healthcare workers, hospital staff, contact tracers, the security services, public and private sector agencies, faith-based organizations, chieftaincy institutions, charitable organizations to keep Ghanaians safe. That is why we're here today to express our sincere appreciation and gratitude height of the pandemic, Ghana and South Korea were considered the two countries who undertook the best management of the pandemic.
The president also conferred national awards on the legal team that represented the country at the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea against Ivory Coast.
Our victory in the maritime boundary dispute could not have been achieved through the actions of one person, one political party, or one government. It was a collective effort, and it is for this reason that the important roles played by successive governments and groups of individuals cannot be overlooked, discounted, or understated. The judgment of the tribunal has brought finality to a maritime boundary dispute that had been extant for over 5 decades. Although the precise economic impact has yet to be conclusively established, what has emerged quite clearly is that our western maritime boundary remains intact.
Well, from us here on CNR Extra, we congratulate all of the individuals who were awarded by the president for their yeoman's job or whatever they did in the fight of the COVID-19 pandemic in the country. This is how we wrap up today's edition of CNR Extra here on CTTV. My name is Philip Ni Latte. I did this with Ni Latte. Many thanks for your time and keep watching CTTV.
Get ready to experience a night like never before with Ahima Messi, Kofi Usipipra, PSA Esther, Ankalato, Ella Duncan Williams, and your host MOG. Also ministering Keepers Music and Liberty Voices Choir.